Hello.
Yeah, what's happening with you?
Alright. It's gonna be probably different because it's on the phone than it would be if I was on the laptop, but still gotta learn.
Oh yeah, that's what's up,
Still
bro. This
learning
is
this
all this.
thing, man.
Yeah, hey, it takes time to learn anything. Ugh, boy. Let me give my greetings and Cherokee Stousti Natane Sutenela. Hello, family. ¿Qué onda, raza? Mi familia Bayanda Finiquera y aquí in Indianapolis. What's up, family in Arizona and here in Indianapolis and all my other family all over the world. Anyway, uh, what's up? How you doing?
What's up, man? It's just
Papa
me and you for
Roots?
right now. Hey, the next few couple times it might just be us until the viewership gets up. But that's fine though. We still gonna run this thing.
Okay, that's what's up. So, I was
So
talking earlier today with you about, and I was having a vision. You know what I mean? Of me as a child and me just what's it mean to be indigenous for my mom and my dad, and just starting off as a kid. Because previously I wrote a movie, well, about Black Indians down south and how after, well, let's run back. Okay, let's go back to the Dancing Rabbit Treaty. Are you familiar with that? Copper Roots.
nah, go on and tell me about it, man.
Okay, the Dancing Rabbit Treaty affected the Choctaw Nation in particular, where all the chiefs signed it. And in that treaty, they had a provision for the Choctaws who didn't want to stay, who didn't want to go on the Trail of Tears, but they didn't even or relocate to Oklahoma. They could actually stay on the land and become citizens. They were the first Native American tribes that were granted of the five civilized tribes granted U.S. Citizenship without having to wait till 1948 or the 19 something 40 something. I get back with that year to get it right when they actually did include Native Americans in that citizen thing. We'll go over that too. But because of that, they were able to remain on the land. But when the tribe moved and their tribal land was mostly dissolved and they stripped it down to just family heads owning the land, a lot of them were being abused and treated the same way as black folks were being treated down south. And so it was like during that time period they moved up. Are you familiar with the Delta part of Mississippi?
Man, come on, man.
Okay, the Delta part of Mississippi is oh yeah, I'm about to oh yeah, so the Delta is a very fertile area, and this is after slavery. So the white folks still had all that land, and they still needed people to farm the land. So they started doing a sharecropping, which most people know nowadays that sharecropping is where you live and you work for the farmer, and you're supposed to cut. You're supposed to share the money, but they figured out, well, you owe us for all of the seeds and living on the land, so you don't get nothing that you work for. So it's working backwards, as we would say, hustling backwards. My great grandmother, who was a full blood native, she was, and I found out they went to the res a lot. And they got a lot of native people to work for them, and then there was a lot of black folks that worked for them too. And that's how my grandfather and I guess my great grandmother got together, and that's how my grandmother was born. And but there was a little dilemma in between. The dilemma was that they practiced cattle slavery mentality, and so they didn't accept my grandfather. And they told my great grandmother that if you marry him, you would we'll kick you out the family. She didn't care, and she married him anyway. And they kicked her out. Only her brother took they was still family, and he took care of my grandmother. Because what happened was one day my grandfather was working in the fields in Mississippi, and he came home and he saw his wife. She killed herself because she was raped. And the sharecropper's wife, like my grandfather, So there's something right there. That sounds crazy. She had him be investigated, and when she had him investigated, they found out he didn't do it. Somebody else did it. But during that time period when he was in jail or prison, my grandmother stayed with her native side, you know, and she was learning all of the ways. And then when my black family came down and they came and they got her, they took her up to Chicago. And at that point, our family lost track of all of the indigenous people from Mississippi. We lost track. We know that we're from Clarksville, Mississippi, or Coahoma County. I know that much. But now I'm looking. I'm looking to go back down there and start the investigation of the actual paperwork because the only thing that's left is my grandmother's birth certificate is documented. My great grandmother is only documented as living in Clarksdale as a housewife. But when I look for her death certificate, because of that situation, she's not there that I talked about previously, because it sounded like it was a cover up. And I can't find her birth certificate or even a federal record that she ever existed on a census. So that right there will make a great movie. So I started writing some of this movie. And when I started writing this movie, it seemed boring. But when I actually had people had a southern accent and could talk with this with the southern accent and with the Choctaw southern accent, it came alive and it was real. And sometimes when you actually write movies about your people, it seems boring when you write it, but when you have other people act in it and you tell them how you want to do it, you could feel it, and it's crazy. It takes on its own self, its own. It becomes people. It becomes your people.
So
You
how you
know.
find the people, man, to read the story?
Well, there is great interest in our Black Indigenous history on Facebook, right? There's so many different groups that I've been in over these years, and I find it a blessing to find like-minded people who would be willing to just read it. I'd say, hey, I don't got no money, but you guys could get if you want to get out there, you want people to see who you are, so you could start. So one of the great things you could do is, hey, I don't got money, but if you guys want to get exposure, you get out there. You're giving them an opportunity to become bigger because everybody wants to be a Facebook, a Hollywood star. See, and you use that to your advantage, if that makes sense to you.
So you can also use artificial intelligence, man. I got a couple videos where it's not me talking and it ain't nobody else alive, but it don't sound like that robot. Hi, I am. It's sound like real people. I actually even fucked around and put my own voice on there. Uh, and the last video that's on there, I don't know how I can pull it up. If I had my laptop up, then I'd probably be able to screen share. Uh, but
Mm-hmm.
the last video I put up, it sounds exactly like me. Almost like if you know me, like I know myself. Like there are
Right.
certain instances where I'm like, okay, this is not me. Uh, but I read a book out loud so it can like kind of get my mannerisms and shit. And I don't know if I really talk slow like that, but normally, but it's kind of slow. You know what I mean? But
Now, just to talk to give you an example, did you know that Tiffany Haddish was having death threats from Iran and Iraq from AIs, mostly AIs. Man, these AIs are terminated. Remember when we were kids, when we talked about how, oh, that shit ain't real? Your parents would tell you that shit ain't real because they didn't understand. But my father did tell me this too. Everything that they did show in a movie is either something they did, they trying, or they're working on in the future. And then when I was a kid, I was like, Dad, is Transformers real? No, boy, you're being stupid. Man, I said, Dad, you're a fucking liar. I didn't say it like that, but I had to. I was like, everything you told me was lies. Transformers are real. I was like, hold on. And this was when I was in college the first time. And that was like in 2004. 2006, between that time period. And they just had the prototype. They didn't even have androids, and they showed these robots jumping around, and they actually said that Japan did have um the transformers. They just couldn't get them to stand up straight or whatever. They couldn't perfect it how they wanted it to as military weapons. So it's like we living in an age where Terminator's around the corner.
Terminator's already here, my boy. You don't know this whole life could be a simulation. Everything around us.
Hey, in the Bible even says this ain't the real life, bro.
I'm just saying, even let's say the Bible and everything, all religions are placed here to see what you're gonna do. Or you're gonna wake up or you're gonna go with the status quo.
Well, you know what that reminds me of, right? Is
The Matrix.
the Matrix. That's what I was gonna say. But you know, one thing that Native people do, and you and I talked about it over the years, is going on a vision quest. And there's many different ways of going on a vision quest. One way I heard is, the traditional way where you make a either a sweat lodge or a sweat house, depends on what native nation you're from. Sweat house is more from like the Cherokees and people down in the southeast or up there where they get these hot rocks and put in a house, or a sweat lodge, make a little wigwam, and they cover it and it gets as hot. And some people just drink water and they go inside of there and they stand there as long as they can, and they try to connect with a spirit to tell them what to do, and how they do it for years and they can never find that spirit. Other people use peyote, and they say once you open up that door to peyote, it's never the same. And I wonder if what's that all about? Or is that on a whole nother level?
Bro, that shit's on a whole nother level. And I've been there before.
What, in
But
ceremonies?
nah.
You went on a ceremony on Vision Quest like that?
I didn't have to do all of that. I just had to be in a particular place in a particular time, and I was doing some shit I probably wasn't supposed to. And then I was like, boom, taken away.
I got you.
Everything around me disappeared, man.
Hmm. I got
Everything.
you. Right.
And after a while, I was taken somewhere and I was shown some things.
Sometimes I think deep on within ourselves, we always know there's something more to this life. Sometimes, if you ever look at the sky at nighttime, especially here in Indianapolis, Indiana, hint, hint, in the West Side, you will see different things in the sky that let you know there's something more to this life. You know what I'm saying? In that western side near the airport, we ain't talking saying nothing more. But there's been things that not just I have seen and that be flying around at nighttime. Or, for example, when I was driving to work and I was speeding, I saw the it was a completely clear night, and then all of a sudden the sky turned green for no reason, just turned green. And I was like, hold up, and then it just went off like, oh, this was the wrong thing.
There's
Ain't that
always a
crazy?
reason for something, man.
Right, of course. But it was almost like somebody said, "Oh, this program's wrong. Let me turn this program off." You feel me? Like a glitch in the system in the sky or something. Like, turn. Oh, we did it wrong. Hold on, go back there. Like we wasn't supposed to know, and like that, Or a lot of times, okay. If you guys want to check this chief out, his name is Lavelle Pierce. He's a very good friend of mine. He's from the Tuscarora Nation down there in North Carolina. He was saying sometimes when certain animals come to you, it's a message. So I would say, so when you see
Mhm.
certain things, there's a message in the sky or something. It's a message, some type of way that you're learning from something. You know, no matter if
I
it's an
think
animal,
everything means
the
everything means
sky.
something. It's
Right.
like
You just
them two ducks that was in my backyard this past weekend. I don't know. I mean, I have an understanding of where the ducks came from, but they would not leave.
I got you. They will not leave. Hey, that's their nesting ground, bro. Like you gotta think. Like for
Nah, man,
example,
them ducks. They might have been having dogs back there, bro.
uh, you
I would
never
feel
know. What I'm
sad
trying
if
to.
it was some eggs back there hidden, but before I let these this Hispanic lady came by because my one of my white neighbors went and found her. I think they might be her ducks. Like they are not her ducks. Yeah, I'll
Oh
take them though.
no, you
But
can't have
before
these.
then,
Hmm.
I walked around the yard to make sure it was no nest and no eggs, because then I would have been forced to let them stay back there because I'm pro life. So,
Right.
I'd be kind of shitty when people break geese eggs
What? Oh, like they take geese's eggs.
when they break
Got you.
them. They
Oh,
break
if
the
they're not
nest
gonna
up.
eat them.
No. So, like Amazon, for instance, there's there was a nest in the back where the trucking area is at. And I knew, what I mean, I saw the two geese, but I knew Amazon was going to eventually destroy the nest. Uh, and so it looked like they broke like two of the eggs and they left like four in the nest. And the geese never came back. But I just feel
Yeah.
like they should have actually let the geese alone.
Or what they could have done was relocate the whole all of them somewhere else.
I mean, they could have, but the geese might not have. They could have. They probably could have got like you know what I mean. What do you want to call them? The people who come through, not
The
like the
Department of
dog pound
Natural
people, but
Resources. Department of
huh?
Natural Resources. DNR.
Somebody,
DNR don't
and
do stuff.
maybe let them relocate the geese eggs. But
You know, because geese are not protected by the law. Because you could go, believe it or not, and go get a hunting license from the state of Indiana, and then get your water state foul and your federal, and you could kill up to three per day.
you
So
ain't gonna be able to do that in the city. You going to jail,
no, in the city too.
bro. You
You can
can't kill
hunt
no
'em.
geese, man. Or they wouldn't be locking people up for killing them, and you intentionally run one over with your car.
They lock people up for that still. I didn't even think they did that. I've never known anybody, bro. What you going? What you in here? I didn't kill the geese for real. You. I've never heard about people with that. I'm saying it don't. I've never heard about it. I mean, I guess anything's possible if they want to take the time to be that petty. You feel me? And Indiana is that petty. You got
Nah,
somebody else
man,
in
you
the
ain't supposed to, cause they was on the endangered species list.
man. They're not in danger no more. That's why you can hunt them now to keep their population up. Now they're doing population control. Yeah, when we were kids, they was on the brink of dying. They did too well to the point where they never leave. You know,
Hmm.
these guys are doing too well in Indiana. This is their favorite little spot and stuff like that. But whatnot, and then like I was at work today, right? And dude was like, because I work at an old facility or whatever, and I was going down doing my little checks, my security checks down there, and anyway. They was like, be careful because there's a spirit down here and it might push you over. I'm like, what? Like, where am I working at? Crazy, crazy, crazy,
So
crazy
back to the
world we live in.
topic, man. Back to the topic.
Yeah,
We
let's
done
get
got
back
all the
on
way
topic.
off.
We're talking about geese
So
and spirits. Yeah. It was a
My
sign. That's what
grandmother
you said.
told me. So here's a dilemma with what my grandmother told me. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so she was telling me like, so her mother,
Mm-hmm.
which would be my great grandmother, her mother's father was put down as a black man, right? But
Right.
his mother was put down as Indian on the census records, and she
Okay.
always used to say she was his mom was down as an Indian, but they put him down as black or colored or whatever.
Hmm.
Probably was colored, and I never
Yeah.
really understood that until these days when I am learning more about the reclassification, right?
Right.
Um,
Eugenics from Walter Plecker's era.
yeah, and learning how it moved from Virginia into the South. And
Right.
you had people who ran into like New Orleans and they was passing this,
That's where it was super big on purpose because they knew they had all
yeah,
these people there.
passing this saying they was colored because they didn't want to say they was Indians because they was scared. Like
Right.
those type of things need to come to the light. But I always used to
We need
wonder
to make a
why.
move. I feel like we need to connect with our brother in Oklahoma. Why? Because they know it the same way like us, and they're either fighting or fought to get their Indian status. They know how to do it. They have open arms. Cherokee Freeman, Creek Freeman, they know how it is. They are right there, and they're accepting of us. You
uh
feel me?
there's a difference, man, between trying to claim the red man's tribes versus the people who was already here that predated that.
I say y'all all mixed together at this point. Maybe a long
I
time
mean, you
ago.
can say that, but then that would go back into what you were saying. Well, how do you know that these black people aren't the Europeans or they not the Moors? Like at this point, you would think all black people would be mixed up in a soup pot,
We
so you wouldn't
are.
be able to say these people belong to the black Europeans or these people were the Moors.
We let's keep it real. We don't let's keep it real. Outside what our parents tell us and what century record, we don't really know. Outside of that, even if you look at physical features, because physical features can change in our family. For
But
example,
that's what I'm saying though. But it's not like the all the Moors are in one part of the state and they only stayed there and made it with the same people, or your black Europeans only stayed in Virginia and that's where they were located for the rest of their life up and until now.
no, you and I both know the slave trade, whatever you come from, was big and massive. They was moving around making
Moving
cattle. It was
around,
cattle.
and after
You
then,
feel me?
since the Great Migration of when
Yes.
people left the South, but that's how my people ended up in Indiana. I asked one of my great uncles. We had a family reunion in Mississippi last year, and I asked him. I said,
And
"Well,
you didn't
what
say me,
what
bro.
what caused everybody to leave the South? Like, why did every single one of your siblings leave the South?" And he was like, he was a kid then, but everybody else was grown. And he was like, really, it was about jobs. But I was like, well, why did some people come to Indiana and then other people went to Milwaukee? Like, why did they choose different paths and they didn't just stay together? But I was saying that to say this, like after the Great Migration, no matter what people were, like me and my kids, I got kids with people who didn't come from Mississippi. You know what I mean? So they from different places. You know what I mean? Chicago and different places like that. So you just never know what's what these days. You know what I mean? I think the like everybody's saying, the real thing to do right now is to trace your genealogy and that's what I was like trying to get at too, like with my grandmother, and what perplexes me is that although I think this was a good run. All right, back after technical difficulties.
Difficulties. Yes, we're back up in here. We might as well just come on screen, bro.
Nah, man,
All right, well, shoot, I'll take
I
my
ain't got
camera
no
off.
shirt on,
Yeah, I
you
got you, bro.
know,
All right,
and I
so
ain't trying to have all the ladies trying to get on live just because they see this handsome hunk of a man, you know.
got got you.
But yeah, man. But I think where I left off, I was saying I didn't understand how, like, my family really ran with the personification of color in black after even knowing that the ancestors of that line were put down as Indian.
Well, you got to think about the time period. To be native, to be indigenous at the time period was less than. You were treated worse. You were treated nothing. So why would they want at that time period to be that? And I think people got to understand it now. When it's safe and easy, everybody's Indian. But back then, it could mean your very life. Why? Because during that time period, they were being hung. They were being they still have rights to the land. I feel like, especially in Mississippi, even to this day, while we cannot trace our lineage back, has a lot to do with, if we did pull it up, we would have a lot of that land one way or another. We would have rights to it because of who we are, especially being indigenous. But if they could burn documents, but now the catch 22 is that rabbit treaty. If your ancestor was one of the chiefs who signed it, then you wouldn't have rights to the land. But if your ancestor didn't sign the treaty, then you're still fair game. So that's what that could be right there. If we destroy these records of the people who did not sign the treaty, who did not remove, because remember how you were telling me how Turtle Gang is Fauna Federation of American Aboriginals. One of the things that they teach, one of the fundamentals, you have to have a family line that has never left the territory to file for your family and for your nation to get recognized as a legit nation. You got to think if our family never left Mississippi, we would have a legit line, a legit reason to be on that land. And that's why in Mississippi in particular, they have to hide these documents. Have to. Because if we all have this indigenous line, even though we're different nations, if we never left, then we would have a claim. But since we left, we don't have that claim no more during the Great Migration. I think that's the reason they chased us out the South during that time period was because they knew that we would never be able to come back and be like, hey, this is our land. Be like, nope, y'all left, so no claim to it.
Well, they did more than just burn that. I don't think the documents are burnt anywhere. I think somewhere in the Library of Congress or somewhere they still got these records. And I think, moreover, the Roman Catholic Church really got some documents that they hiding.
You think of us from Mississippi in particular,
I'm
because I
saying
was
like of everything that happened, Rome was in charge of a lot of that stuff.
right.
So they know what the people look like when they got here. Um, that's why I just feel like I have a cousin in Germany, man. I really want him to go to this museum and take a picture of the statue and some of the statues that they have on them buildings, man, of the black Indians that they have there, the representations of America. Like, why would they? That's the one thing I want to do a video about. That, you know what I mean? What actually woke me up from everything else I was watching or being attracted to. Like, I never was Pan African. I don't think I ever had that in my mind. But
Because to be Pan African, even Africans say who's your mother, who's your father. No matter if you're indigenous or you're Pan African, I want people to realize you have to prove your lineage. That's very important. Indigenous people of the earth around the world, even if you're will always say who's your mother, who's your father. How are you this group? How are you coming to sit at our table? How are you related? Even me, with me being half Mexican, I'm like, oh, your mother is Mexican. I'm like, yes. And then they were like, okay, where's she from? I'm like, Arizona. So you have to break it down and show people how you are whatever. Because
but
people
even then, though, Africans look at it like this, and I didn't. I know a lot of African people, so I don't want to ever make it seem like I don't like African people. I don't like how they treat my people, and I'm not saying all of them do it, but like
mhm,
the majority of the hatred that I see. You know what I mean?
low
So
key, they're cool with us to a point, and when they're partying,
there's
hanging
some of
out,
them that hate us. You know what I mean? There's some who love us, some who want to rock side by side, but it is some that hate us, man. But what I was saying is that they look at it like they don't say we from Africa in Africa. You know what I mean? Because it's broken down by tribe first,
right?
tribal affiliation. So
You're
then
Igbo
you Yoruba or you Igbo,
or
and then
Tutsi,
yeah, Tutsi or I can't think of the other one because that's
Hutu,
a Rwanda. Hutu and the Tutsi.
right?
That's in Rwanda.
Right. Let's just stick on. Or another one that is a big tribe that I've learned that you might have, even me, but I didn't see it pop up. Is it's a large tribe. They don't because they range from the west they are all parts of West Africa, even going to the east. I can't even think. Oh, Fulani. That's the largest African tribe. They go in every nation. They move around. They're nomadic people.
Hmm.
It seemed like you would have them, but maybe the Fulanis just never made it over here. It just
But
wasn't going 'cause they
but
kept
the
moving around.
this woman, she was like, we think everybody, and this I can say this is the way that I thought in error. Like we all black, you know what I'm saying? We black, we brothers, we sisters, Until I think my one of my first experiences was this little African girl named Alphonsine. I think she was from the Guinea Republic or New Guinea or something in Africa, man. But see, I am not your sister. He's like, what? I am not your sister. And she was a young girl too, so it wasn't like she was an older African person.
I don't
That
think
hit me with that. But
was she a Christian or non-Christian?
I don't know. You know, it does.
Because that influences their mindset too. Because if they're Christian, they kind of go along to get along. Versus if they're non-Christian, they may more be like that more. But
But
if they
the
Christian,
majority of Africans who come here, or unless they like Niger or some other place, they come here as Christians. I
or
know some
Islam,
Muslims. I know some
right?
Muslims. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But the majority of people that I know are
Christian,
Christian.
got
But
you. Yeah,
in that same year, though, I met a couple real lifelong African friends. One is a
right,
Muslim from Niger, and one is a Christian from
right,
Nigeria.
right. Because I do want to see if there is a real linkage. Which nation? Because it said, like I said, 18% popped up first was Nigeria. The other one was Mexican indigenous, and I already know my mom's Yaqui and Apache, so that's not surprising. That's just confirming that my grandfather wasn't lying about when he said that his people were Indian. That's just a confirmation. That's how I look at it one way. And then I have cousins, fifth generation cousins that
But
are
you
from
ain't got no shirt on.
who me? Oh, I got a shirt
Mm.
on.
Uh, I was looking at the live feed. It looked like when your picture came up, you didn't have no shirt on.
Nah, I had a
Yeah,
shirt on, bro. Yeah, I guess no nudity on the show. This is a family show.
it ain't a family show. Just you know.
Oh, it's not? Oh, okay. I got you. I got you. So yeah, so I was using different things to base it on. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of times we gotta understand people make things up. Back then too, people would make things up just because, and then some, not everybody has the bloodline. Some people were adopted in to a nation, or they married into a nation and then they became part of a nation. Especially with the $5 Indians, a lot of white men married into the Cherokee Nation, and their descendants are now, because they intermixed, but then they married out again.
But
So,
now their descendants are the ones who supposed to be the type for the blood that they're testing to say that you are or you are not these people, and that makes it unfair for somebody
oh
who
yeah,
is. But do you see what I'm saying? So if somebody say I took a DNA test, but what are they comparing your blood to?
they're comparing. Okay, so yeah, if we're talking in between the Cherokee Nation, let's handle that. They are comparing it to two ones, either the one from
The $5
uh
Indians run the game, bro.
no. There's two ones. There's the United Katua. That's more of that's Oklahoma, that got full blood people, right? And I don't think they submitted their DNA. They also got the Cherokee Nation, and they also got Eastern Band. So it depends on which one. If you got it, this is what's interesting too. Like, they talk about this. Part of the Cherokee oral history says that some of the people came from Mexico. The Mayan came up. There was like a boat or that came in, and they became part of them. And then there's another one that says they came from South America. And they so if you have any of those more ancient ones, a lot of times, and that you find your DNA, it's possibly that you could be Cherokee, and but it's so far back, you're showing more of the migrant tribes that came to the southeast. And it's been documented and it's being agreed also among the Creek nation, known as Muskogee, but they're a different band that came over of Mayan that integrated with the southeastern tribes. So a lot of times, don't per se just look for Cherokee, look for the ancient tribes too, because those ancient tribes may confirm that you really are these people. You just descended more of the ancient group, and you carry the ancient ones more in your DNA. So you can't per se just let that discourage you. You got to look at older things too. And this took me a while to learn, but I've heard stories about the people coming from the south far south and coming north. Whatever happened, they came up here. They became part of the priest tribe of the tribes of the south of the Creeks and the Cherokees. They were the priests, and they had an old way of doing things. So I would tell people look at that too. It might help them better understand things.
I'm mad because I'm trying to edit this post so I can probably try to get some people in. Here we go. There we go. Uh,
I think we should try to talk to Dr. Fatu. She's a geneticist and a doctor who could break down DNA. And I need to find that Phoenix Moon had on her thing. I might have to holler at Lavelle to put it. And she was breaking down that sometimes, even though you have a low amount of indigenous DNA, it also means that's the oldest DNA. Like 2% means that's the oldest. That's very old. That's not recent. You know what I'm saying?
but here's the
Like
thing. So what happens when they swipe the dog's mouth or the lizard and it comes back? Oh, you this amount Nigerian and you're that. It's a lizard. What do you say about that?
I don't know then because then that's like okay, but then it's like how do we know that they really even ran that or if they just saying that?
What you mean, man? I've watched the videos where they actually did the animal. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, well, I've taken three uh uh I've taken
DNA
three
test.
DNA tests, yes, bro. The first DNA test I did was the Cherokee one, just to see if I had any Cherokee blood genetically. I didn't. They linked me up with another woodland tribe called Anishinaabe, which in English is Chippewa, or in French Ojibwe. I'm like, I don't know anybody. And then I called the nation about that. I was like, hey, look, are you guys aware that you got your DNA is on the page? It was like, no, we're not. Yeah, I was like, yes, because some kind of way, because when people get locked up, they could get other people's DNA. It's out there, or like when people go to the test, they do a lot of things with your DNA, or if you do go to the plasma center, they could get a hold of your DNA. So they got a lot of different tribes' DNA out there. So anyway, it was like, no. I was like, so how do you get membership? It's like if you could find anybody, we will give you a descendants card, basically recognize you as a descendant of the tribe. I was like, for real? That was like, yes. I was like, oh, I was like,
If
that's
you can find
strange.
anybody, what?
That's on their tribal rolls. Then no matter what their percentage, as long as I got linear linkage to that person on their rolls, I could get this Anishinaabe or Ojibwe citizenship like that.
Well, what happened?
I didn't pursue it because I didn't really per se believe it because um I don't have anybody in my family that's from that area. Like I said, especially I'm from Arizona, and then my great grandmother's from Oklahoma. You feel me? Like I don't know nobody.
Why not though, man? You just said you can take the test, and
I don't. What I'm trying to say is that then, mate. Okay, now I'm gonna lie. Now there was some Ojibways and Chippewas that was shipped to Oklahoma, right? I did see that. Like, there's a whole group of them. Oh, Ottawa, they're in Oklahoma too. So it's possibly they got the tribe wrong, especially if this test is popping up.
showing it. Oh man.
Huh?
Nah, go ahead, man. I'm trying to
So it's
figure
it's
something out.
possible it's possible that said Chippewa, they said Cherokee, but it was really Chippewa, and they just don't know better because a lot of times people didn't listen things right back then, or it may just be a fluke. It may be just something I don't know. But then the other DNA test along with it was showing that I did have people from Africa, India. There was like every time it keeps pointing to Africa. Every test I ever take points to somewhat of an African lineage. But it showed. But what was interesting though, it also showed that I had Brazilian slave ancestors.
In what?
A percentage of them in me.
What test?
It was another one. I'm gonna have to go back online to get that one if
Sound
I
like they
can.
was making some shit up, bro.
And yeah, because I was like Brazilian, but then again, no, because remember, where did we say most of the slave trade happened in the Caribbean, Central, and South America? And even Nigerians say
So
this:
how did you get the blood from South America? Outside of your mom, and we gonna say your mom ancestors have nothing to do with the slave trade in South America. So how would your people get that?
they were moving slaves around, bro. They were moving them around, or or it could. That one was just a more of a
It was what? Did your phone hang up, man? The timeout? That's the reason why trying to do this on the phone is crucial. But that's pretty cool though. I got the first stream out the way. Wasn't nobody here to see it. Nobody's probably gonna watch it on the replay. But that is okay because practice makes perfect. And now it's just me. And I wanted to make it a whole hour. So I guess to make it a whole hour, I myself must figure out something to talk about. Next time I think when I go live on here, I'm gonna try StreamYard on my laptop to see what the difference is. Um, because I really do want to get this together, and not only just for Copper Roots, uh, and who knows what Copper Roots can turn into. You know, the plan is for it to be a media, uh, black media thing. So that means my perspective on news and what's going on in the news. Uh, I want to redo my logo, do some type of animated logo. He's back.
Yeah, I'm back now. Hold on, let me turn this camera off. Ah, there we go. I like that one better anyway. Looks better. Like I could come up with something like tight. You know what I'm saying?
I would suggest you complete your YouTube channel, man, and get rid of that 602. If it's gonna be Black Bear, you know, just had that right, and then your the emblem for
Okay.
your face is just like a profile, blank profile thing. So get something to put there for your YouTube. That way, when you hop on these lives and when you start telling your stories on your own YouTube channel, uh,
Right.
it'll look kind of put together.
Man, I would like to start reaching out to some of these different groups and see if we could make a connection though. The Choctaw Chickasaw people of Mississippi. I would I would like to talk to see if they have anything cuz what I find is they're very brief and quiet about the lineage. Very quiet. Like they make you do all the work. They're not helping you at all. You got to pay a genealogist. They're not giving nothing out. You got to prove it. You know, they don't help you unless you pay. No.
They don't want you to even find the information, though. End of the day, if your skin is dark, they don't want you nowhere near. And that might be, like I said, I believe that their people have their own history, right?
Mhm.
And some of
Yeah.
our people are tied into those tribes. Like mine's Choctaw Chickasaw. But when I looked my grandfather up, who I was telling you about, it said Creek. But
Right.
I was listening to the research guy, and I ain't trying to name drop, but he was talking about like sometimes you might find your ancestor's name in a different state, and that's because at certain particular times, some of those areas were considered the same. And so that made me want to go and look and see when certain states became states. Um,
Right.
because I still got to hunt down my grandfather's information there. Uh,
Let me,
and it's
can I,
tracked by his death certificate and stuff like that. So I have to order. It's a money thing, right? But I have to
right,
order his death certificate, and then like my great grandmother, I can get that her birth certificate and death certificate from my grandmother, and then it would be my grandmother's information and my father's, and then to me.
right. One thing I
But
can
you
relate.
need all of that to submit. You know what I mean? To submit it to these. If I did want to pursue Creek or something,
Yeah, you do. Now, the thing is, did you find it on the DOS rolls? Because when you deal with
it was
Creek,
the
you got
Dawes Rose.
okay. Then yeah, you most likely are Muskogee Creek. Then you narrowed it down. What I was gonna also say, bro, don't stop because there's many different Creek tribes. For example, if we
Yeah,
go
I
on the
don't
other,
know. I mean, it's just something to I either have to do it myself or pay somebody to like really hit the. And since I'm not a genealogist, you know
you
what I
really
mean.
don't. All you really gotta do is just do like you said, the birth certificate, death certificate, and they'll run the genealogy for you there at the tribe. Trust and believe they'll run the genealogy paperwork
I
once
was
you submit
told
it.
I need a straight, direct line to me, right?
Yeah, you need a direct, unbroken direct line
Line to
chain.
myself
Yep, to yourself.
and birth certificates and death certificates,
Right. That's what they use.
original.
Original. Yeah.
So that's the play. You know what I mean? But like I said, outside of that, I want to do my whole tree. I want to pay. One day I'm gonna pay somebody, especially if I can get this channel popping. Then that'll be a topic. You know what I mean? Just
Mm-hmm.
go down memory lane, like Lewis Henry Gates. He does his thing, but
Right.
to do my own, to have somebody else do mine, or pay him to do mine and do it on my channel. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
That's what I wouldn't mind him doing mine and providing the information that I found too over the years. And then do a DNA test through you a real one because I think they get a little bit real more real things than what we pay for. You feel me? Cuz
Hmm.
they get the better stuff. I think they probably hitting them better. You know what I'm saying? Than what we do. And then another thing we could do that we talked about is somebody needs to become an archaeologist or an anthropologist. Why? Because we need to go to the source down south and dig up these bones and get it popping to see who's lying and who's telling the truth. Because I'm not gonna lie, as an indigenous person, how can you sit up here and pick and choose when you want to use your DNA and compare it to the ancient ancestors so you could take those bones and bury it. And nobody else could do it, which I do understand, but at the same time, nobody else can compare their bones to that to see if they're related too.
But let's
What's
see,
that
that's what
about?
it's all about, though. Getting the bones.
Hmm.
Um, but speaking of bones, it's not human bones, but the bones of a boat called the Cotilda. So I remember it was a big thing. They was talking about, oh, the Cotilda, the last slave ship, and all of this. And now, like the research guy is the one who brought it to my attention. But I was looking at it again some more today. I was looking at the original footage, and they were talking about, oh yeah, well that's this ship is not the Cotilda. And you know what I mean? It's like the
I
people who were
believe that.
saying they family came off of that ship. They was all saying, oh yeah, 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 but they ain't no they ain't no proof of no Cotilda. You know what I mean?
No records from the government, like, you know what I'm saying. But then again, if slavery was illegal at that time period, why would they have a written record if it was illegal, right? Isn't that a background story? This one's when slavery was outlawed, no more.
They said that that's when it was, outlawed, but
Well,
still,
yeah,
even then.
they wouldn't have a document of that ship, but then again, they would have a receipt of the ship when it was built and who bought it.
But where is the ship?
It's broke down. I mean, there would not be really the ship left over at all. It would be dissolved from 1860, whatever that when that ship was made until now, it would be dissolved. It would be gone, bro.
Yeah.
At this point, I
You
mean,
think
nobody.
so? It's
Yeah,
ships in the they got ships there. It is a ship that's there, but it's not the Cotilda.
right. It's probably some
It's a
ship that
ship
got.
graveyard. Shit, the Titanic and all that shit still under the water.
Right. I'm
So
saying
like,
this.
I
That's
don't know.
probably some Civil War Confederate ship, bro, or some other ship, or it
I just
could
feel
be
like
that.
man, let's say the Cotilda was a ship that existed. What about the other ships that supposed to took thousands of people? All those thousands of voyages that Henry Louis Gates said that only brought 92,000 African slaves to the Americas. What do you do with that number? And that goes back to the 1500s.
Let's keep it real, bro. There were already other African people here before that. They brought the Spaniards. We can't always just, if we're gonna keep it real,
Bruh, but where were the Spaniards at? That was the question.
in
Yeah.
the southeast, they were in
So
Florida.
so you
They
so
was in
you
North
think the
Carolina.
Spaniards brought the people here and they wasn't already none here?
I never said there was never none here, but what I'm trying to say is that the Spaniards brought people over here.
In what year? 1492?
Probably.
And how many do you think the Spaniards brought? Millions?
Nah, whatever they could fit on that ship.
I'm asking you though because we're talking about the boom in the population of what we're gonna call black people, and you're saying the Spaniards brung some. So I'm trying to see how many do you think the Spaniards brung with them?
I'm gonna see how many that they.
Because I was going to say some of the blacks who came with the Spaniards were not slaves, but they helped the Spaniards even navigate. Right? Was De Soto a Spaniard? Huh? I guess your phone went dead again, huh? But there is got to be another way to do this uh without losing people. What to say? You have an alert for copper roots. Since my man's is gone, I ain't got nobody to talk to, so I go back to talking to myself. 'Cause I need this to end at 1 hour and 10 minutes.
Oh, can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
Oh, I was reading the actual information, bro. You was right. It started at 1520 when the Spanish started bringing people over here. 1520, and they brought. Hold on. 1,000,000
Bro, they ain't
five
bringing no
hundred.
1 million slaves over here,
Okay,
man.
one million
What's your
five hundred.
source? What are you
What do you
reading
say?
this from?
The Oxford, what is it? Atlantic
The what?
Academia,
You reading the what?
Oxford Academy, bro. It's an article.
Oxford. I want to look it up.
I'm gonna send it to you.
Nah, I wish I knew how you could share your screen and put it up on the screen.
Okay. It's called the Oxford Academia American History Review. Here's American Historical Association.
Hold
Atlantic
on.
History.
American history. I'm typing it in, man.
Our
And what we
American
looking at?
Historical.
What's the name? What's the title of the
Okay.
essay?
Atlantic History and the Slave Trade to the Spanish America.
All right, hold on.
Right. You got.
Atlantic history
Mm-hmm.
to the what?
Okay. It's Atlantic History and the Slave Trade to the
The
Spanish
Spanish
America.
America.
Right. And it's by Alex Bruckey and
So
David.
this was written in 2015. So this is
Mm-hmm.
not a historical, right?
No.
This is somebody who wrote this.
Mm-hmm.
So we can't say this is historical. But go ahead and read it and let me see where you're coming from.
Okay. Within half a century of Columbus contact, the most powerful state in Europe had taken over the two most policies in the Americas, the Aztecs and Inca empires. From that point until the 1810 Spanish America was the largest and most populated European imperial domain in the New World, stretching from California to Buenos Aires. Both the first and the last
Going on,
slave voyages,
Aries.
Itis, Eris, Itis,
Iris.
Itis,
Aris. Go
I heard
ahead,
both
man.
of those. Okay, both the first and the last slave voyages across the Atlantic disembarked not very far from each other in the Spanish colonies of Hispaniola 1505 and Cuba 1867.
Uh-huh.
This continental size of groups of colonies developed the first until the late 18th century and the largest free black population in the Americas. S- Spanish America was therefore part of the Americas with most enduring link to Africa. Yet the French, the British, and even the Portuguese empires have reasonable precise data on origins, composition, and demographic evolution of their black population. Most information we have for the Spanish colonies is on 19th century Cuba. How puzzling that we know less about the size, nature, and significance of the African connection with the Spanish America, especially the Spanish role in slave trade, than we do know about any other branch of transatlantic traffic. While there is an ancient and a well-known his, historically graphic on Latin America, Africans in Spanish-speaking America, and indeed the Spanish themselves, have yet to receive their due in Atlantic history, at least for the years after 1640.
All right, cool. You read all of that. But where you get that million number at?
Let me go down here.
Because I asked you how many
Okay,
people.
okay. It said we now believe there
Where
was.
we at though? Cause
We got
I'm
to
on the
skip down.
page too.
All right, skip down. You got to skip down, bro. It's in
How
purple.
far am I going?
Let me see. One paragraph, two
This
paragraphs,
what does it
three.
start with?
We now we now believe that as many
And
as
it's the
one.
beginning. It's the beginning of the paragraph, right?
Yeah, we now.
All right. Go ahead. I'll find it.
We now believe that there was as many as 1,506 enslaved Africans arrived in the Spanish Americas directly from Africa between 1520 and 1867. We further estimate that there was an additional 5,660 enslaved Africans disembarked in Spanish America from other European colonies in the New World, such as Jamaica and Brazil. So maybe in
What
reality,
now? Let me ask you this question real quick. What is Spanish America? Are we talking
Spa-
about where we live at right now? Are we
Spanish
talking about
America,
Honduras?
no,
Are we?
no, no. Spanish America, when we're dealing with we're talking about where we live now. The Spanish had Florida, the Spanish had North and South Carolina, and they had Georgia. That was Spanish America too. You
Man,
gotta understand that.
I'm not rocking with what you're saying though. I'm still trying to find the paragraph.
We're dealing with Spain, bro. That's what I'm trying to tell you. That in the Spanish America was also California, because the Spanish owned before Mexico owned it. Spain owned it. So
What
we're dealing.
is Spanish America?
I'm trying to tell you. It goes from
I know what you're
Georgia.
saying, but I'm about to look it up. Spanish America refers to the Spanish territories in the Americas during the Spanish colonization of the Americas. Mexico, Central America, exception Belize, South America, with the exceptions of Brazil and French Guiana. I can't say that. So this is not necessarily talking about us, man, in America. We know that millions of slaves hit South America, you know what I mean, in those other places. But as far as the Spanish bringing that many slaves to North America, no, man. When Henry Louis Gates was doing his thing with the endowment for the humanities and speaking of uh speaking of the 92,000 slaves that made it to North America, he was actually speaking of the Spanish also. I got to get back to what this little website because I'm still trying to find, what you was talking about. That's Gucci though. Slavevoyages.org. Using the transatlantic slave trade database, slavevoyages.org, as well as new archival sources, we have concluded a new evaluation of the slave trade to the Spanish colonies. Our reassessment has given us a new appreciation of not only the African presence of Spanish, but also given links between slavery and come on down. We now believe that. See, he tripping. That is not even the start of a paragraph. That is hidden. inside of a paragraph. And no wonder I couldn't find it and wouldn't have been able to find it unless all I saw was slavevoyages.com. And so we now believe as many as 1,506 enslaved Africans arrived in the Spanish Americas, plural, directly from Africa between 1520 and 1867, and further estimate an additional 566,000 enslaved Africans were disembarked in Spanish America from other European countries.
Hello.
Yeah, man. So you talking about it started a paragraph and it didn't start a paragraph. I found it, but it was deep inside of a paragraph and it was not the beginning of a paragraph. But
Okay.
they're still talking about the 1520s to 1867, right?
Right, but everybody
And
always
but
starts at
here's
16.
the thing. You didn't start at the beginning of the paragraph. that's that's where it gets a little tricky because he said using the transatlantic slave trade database at slavevoyages.org. And we know that Henry Louis Gates said on the slavevoyages.org website. Have you watched that video?
Mm-mm.
That's what I'm about to try to do. I'm gonna try to I'm gonna put it on 30 seconds, right? And then I'm gonna log out on my phone. You stay here though. You can talk.
Mm.
Just
Okay.
talk, right? And then I'm gonna log out on my phone and then I'm gonna try to log in on the laptop and see what it do.
Okay. But yeah, like this is the stuff that like I like about you. Like you're more open to look at things like and really get to the core about the Spanish because the Spanish played a heavy role. And if we start suing, I would sue Spain first. For US, I would go to Spain. Why Spain started the shit. Then England, then Portugal, then France. You know what I'm saying? Like reparations would be a big thing, bro. If we really did it, you gotta sue all them motherfuckers. You can't just get one. You got to get them all right. Hello.
Yeah, I'm here, man. That's why I said just keep talking because I'm about to try to go from my phone to my laptop.
Okay. So yeah. So I
Like
find like
talk to the audience, man. Don't talk to me.
okay. So I find like this information. A lot of times, what I find is that in history, everybody wants to begin in the 1600s, but you got to understand, you got to go before the 1600s. There's a lot more things going on, especially with the Spanish doing their thing, and then you just got to dig deep because there's a lot of things that even happened before even the Spanish got here that you need to understand that there was a whole world, a whole civilization going on over here in the Americas. I know, like out there in Arizona, they have like the ho cam. They have their own irrigation system. That's very old and ancient. And I'm like, man, they had all of this over here before the Europeans even stepped over. It must have been something great and beautiful. It was lost on purpose.
You said it was lost. Dang,
Yeah,
man,
the
I don't
technology.
know if it's gonna let me do this shit. Hold on, man.
It's
Shit.
lost. Like you can't do it their way. You got to do it whatever way that's more modern for modern things. But you got to think they were working with very little to nothing.
Yeah.
But then again, you had a lot more people. This is what we're gonna do. We're gonna build these dams. We're gonna build this canal system because that's how we're gonna eat. It is what it is. One of those things, though, if you ever go back down south, I realized one thing: our ancestors had to be strong people because they're dealing with, or it could be our world now because it's hot. Like I went to South Carolina. Oh my God! When you talk about Indiana, Indiana looks like a little girl compared to what South Carolina has. Myrtle Beach, it is humid, and I realized our ancestors they couldn't be running around in the AC and stuff. That didn't exist. So they had to be strong to learn how to deal with that weather. They probably didn't do too much though. You know, certain times of the day probably did a lot of stuff in the morning, a lot of stuff probably when it got cooler in the evening. Okay, so I'm on here now, just being the host of the show. And I do want to talk about making movies. It's a very big project, and I would like to link over any of them artists that are out there who would be interested in making movies about the Southeast because that story has not been told from a black indigenous aspect, if you know what I mean. Never been told. You know, the closest thing that we do have is a movie called Hayato, but that is more on the Chickasaw people that got moved to Oklahoma. So her story is from Oklahoma. We're all related, right? But still, there's a lot more things that need to be told and talked about. And I would love to get back to some of the artists. Hello? Can you hear me? Okay, so I guess I'm still talking out here. I would like to link together with those artists who would be interested in. I'll write the movie, and then we'll find an actors who will act it out. And if I can find people with the land down south to play different roles, different stories, to tell our story in depth. You know what I'm saying? In particular. And then move on to like talk to Freeman to see if they could tell their stories in movies. Because everybody has stories to be told. Man, look at that. So I'm going to be starting my own podcast soon enough. It's probably gonna be called Black Bear Talks Room. So, is there anybody who is from Mississippi or Alabama or Georgia that's in the homeland that's holding it down? You know your tribal language of Choctaw, Chickasaw, or Lumbee, or well, Lumbees don't have a language. Any of that? Is there anybody near here that's a drummer, that's a singer? I'm looking for that type of talent. I can't hear it. Excuse me for a moment. I was eating my dinner. Been a long day. But back to the thing. Anybody from the southeast who's a drummer or singer, I'm looking for them type of people to do something with in the future. Even if it's just on here, we could do something. And I like to make connections. I talk to a lot of people from a lot of different indigenous nations, so I like to link up and talk to y'all if y'all out there. Any drummers, any singers, anybody that got any talented camera skills, let me know. Copper Roots, the show's yours. Maybe he's still busy. I would like to take any callers out there. If you guys want to call in and talk to me, let me know. I mean, I would love to get Turtle Gang on here. You know what I'm saying? Get some of the Black Indian chiefs from down south. Um, Whoever on here that wants to come on here and knows how to act right, because I try to be professional. Don't get me wrong, I'm not perfect. I may say something out the way, but I apologize for it if I do, if I offend anybody. I guess Copper Roots is still on there trying to fix something. And then so back to me. So I'm gonna link up with some of the people in the past I talked to bring them on, because this is my second time kind of hosting a show. I used to host a show a long time ago, and I did it during COVID. My biggest thing was trying to bring different native nations together to talk about different ways that they could heal themselves naturally when there was not a cure, it wasn't a vaccine for COVID. And I remember when I was in my early 20s, um, that I remember I had a dog, and the dog was getting a vaccine for COVID. And then I saw COVID, and it was like animals had COVID. And then I didn't realize that it was a zoological virus that transferred from animals to humans. There's a lot of those. So, with that being said, I was learning about one of the things that I found that was very effective. I'm gonna share with everybody on here. Elderberry is very effective in building the immune system and helping with dealing with the effects of COVID. Was the elderberry, and then also there were different other things. So I'm gonna probably have to go back.
Yo, yo, yo.
What's up?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, well, I
All
was
right,
talking.
man. I don't know
I,
what the hell was going on. I couldn't hear myself. I couldn't do nothing, man. But
mm,
I had to go and grab my microphone. But let me run this back, man. This Lewis Henry Gates thing real quick, man. I don't know how much time we got, but let me see if I can do that again.
okay, and I was talking to the people who are going to listen after the show goes off that I'm interested in getting people who are drummers and singers for my film to continue it because I could put it up in there. You guys could watch it. Once I find it, I'll send it to you and you could post it up because I want to continue it and take it and turn it into a movie.
Mozzarella Fox.
You hear me?
Yeah, yeah.
And then
All
I
right.
want to,
Can you see
guys.
this? Can you see my
Yeah, we
screen?
can see it. We can see your screen.
All right, man. We gonna watch this and then go back to that thing. I probably deleted it, but I can probably still get to it. So that thing said they looked at slavevoyages.org, and that's where they got their information from. Do you remember that?
Yes.
So this is, can you see at the top what that?
Louis Henry Gates
I know, but
introduces.
no, here in the web address. What that say?
I can't see it. Looks like it's too small for me, bro. I need
It says
glasses.
it's slavevoyages.org. Now let's listen to what he say. Tell me if you can hear him.
Okay.
Can you hear him?
No, turn it up. If you-
You can't hear that?
I could hear it, but it's faint, bro. It's not loud.
All right, maybe it's something I need to do to. Maybe there's a volume or something.
Maybe yeah, you could turn it on for yours because it's important information to that we what do you call it? Everybody's writing stuff off of based off of slave voyages.
That's me. Well, I'm just going off of the source that you just put on there.
Okay.
You know what I mean? You put
Hmm.
that up. You read what them dudes were saying. And so that's why I wanted to use the slavevoyages.org. But try to listen, man. Cut your phone up louder, maybe.
It's up as high as it could go, bro.
Well, let's listen to what he say there.
Okay. There we go.
Boom. Did you hear that?
92,000.
Only 92,000. Only 92,000. And your source, if I can go back and look at my
He said
history,
1,500,000.
go to the
Blah blah blah.
beginning. Go to the beginning though of what he was saying. That go to the beginning of that paragraph though. He
He
said
start
using the transatlantic slave trade database at www.slavevoyages.org. And then he goes in and added and fluffed up the 1.5 million. When was this
right.
even written? I said
2015.
2015. So that's
Right.
older. This is older than this updated website. So I will give them that. But this is older than this updated slavevoyages.org. And this goes all the way back to all the documented voyages that, and they cited this website as a source.
Right.
So
So
the
that
site,
means
the website, the source said only 92,000 slaves are documented going back to the 1500s. You
that's
know what
only.
I'm saying? So the
But
shit
you
gets,
know,
but
the
Jay
only thing
Nightwolf
is
he said that though. Jay Nightwolf said they got the numbers wrong.
right. So if that's the case, then of course there would be more native people being put in as slaves because that's easier. And then because well, I told you before is that this too that you that the Catholic Church asked petition for all American native people in the Spanish world not to be slaves no more, to be Africans. So they renamed the native people Africans so they could use them as slaves.
I mean, they
Everybody come
did that because they couldn't enslave people that was termed native. You know what I
right,
mean? Indian. So people got termed Negro and black. I mean, that was one surefire way to make it happen.
right,
And especially if you couldn't tell the difference between them.
right.
But you ain't gonna be able to sit up and say, "Yeah, this red man that looks like a Siberian, that's a
Not
Negro." Not
everybody
gonna be able.
looks like that,
I'm just saying though, no matter what though, you know there's a big difference between the Negro and the other people, right?
but
And you're
there
not
has
gonna
been
be able
so
to have
much.
them on a, but you're not gonna be able to have them on a slave plantation calling them Negroes, or do you think you can get away with that?
There's been so much intermixing of people
I'm just
that
no, I'm just saying like at that point in time where you couldn't enslave Indians anymore, right? Could you
right,
get away with having some on the plantation if they didn't look like Negroes and try to convince, like, let's say a government official came by and checked? You think you'll be able to get away with saying, yeah, these is Negroes if they look like the red man?
this is what I heard from that story. They put feathers on them. They dressed them up the same to look the same, to move the same, to talk the same.
Who told you that?
Yes, people in the southeast talked about that. It's,
Talked about who put feathers on. They put feathers on the slaves,
yeah, and they told them be quiet, don't talk.
but that's not what
Real,
I'm
real.
asking you.
No, what I'm trying to tell you. Listen, I'm trying to tell you the real story of what
I know,
Yamasi
but
Paul talked.
that's not the question I asked you though. I asked you
Listen,
if there was a slave plantation, right? And
what?
they have Native Americans on there as slaves. Are they gonna be able to tell a government official that these Native Americans are
Are
Negroes? That's what I asked you.
you know what? Remember how y'all were going around saying that
Man, can you
that's
answer the question,
no, no,
bro?
no, 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 no.
Let
I
me
am.
get
I'm
in my
answering. I'm about to answer your question, and then I'm gonna leave it there. Some of them Apache people, these Aboriginals are calling Black Indians are really Apaches. That you guys, if they didn't have their
bro. Here
suntan.
you go. Here
No,
you
no, no,
go.
no, no, no,
This
no, no.
I
Listen,
want you to listen to your language right now. You saying you guys. This is me and you, man.
No, but what I'm saying is that
I didn't
there's
say
certain,
nothing about. I didn't say nothing about Apache. I didn't say nothing about any of that.
but
You
you
going
said
to you going along. You're
Siberian.
going.
No,
You're.
but you said
But I asked. I just said that as a descriptive term, man. You know what I meant. I
no, but
asked you. I asked you a particular.
I'm trying to answer it.
But you
I'm
not
trying to
because
answer it.
you're talking
Yes, I
about you
am.
guys. Look, you're talking about you guys and Apache. I asked you a question about could if they had slaves on a plantation that were we're gonna say Indians as you see them in the movies, right? Could they get away by
Not
saying those
modern day.
slaves
No, these modern
back?
day people back then. No, these modern day people. Let me break this down. And we had this discussion, and I have to bring this out. It's not fair for you not to let me bring this
It's
out.
not. But we you can bring that out,
I
but
gotta
you
bring it out. Let me bring it out. Let me. Can I bring it out?
gotta answer the question first, though.
The modern day
You
people
can bring it
that
out, but
you
answer the
see
question first.
most likely have the Chinese mixture from them bringing the Chinese people working on that.
I'm not asking that. That's not what I asked you, man. I said if you have the Native Americans as you know them today, right? Back in those days, could
No, they
they
didn't look the same.
would they be able to say
No,
these are even then though, would they be
they
able to
didn't
say
look
these
like
are
that.
Negroes?
No, the one. Let me explain something to you. Okay, and the Cherokee guy broke this down and said the original natives were dark skinned and they had jet black hair and they were super dark. He showed me a picture of his uncle who was very dark, right? Very dark with that. And maybe some of the ancestors had the same similar features as that. Nowadays, they're mixed with white heavily. Irish, German is
And Chinese
very
and Japanese.
okay. Yes, and you know where that's from. It was documented history. They're mixed with that because of World War II. The Japanese were placed on the reservations. I showed you countless times when the Japanese
So
were
me,
put on the reservations and they
you said,
intermixed with them eventually,
but it still begs the question though.
which is recent.
Okay, even your friend who showed you that picture, would they be able to
Right.
put that person on a plantation and say it is a Negro as we know them to be Black Americans?
Maybe, maybe not. I don't
Right.
know. Probably not. But,
Okay, they
but
wouldn't because those people was never slaves, man. The slaves, I mean, we know white people were slaves. We know that slavery around the whole globe had everybody slaves. You know what I mean? Um, but as far as the slaves and they say Negro, we know what and no other people slaves, man. But what we gonna call black people? I remember when I was a kid, my teacher told me, he said, he told the class that the first slaves, and it really didn't make sense to me then, but he said the first slaves of America were the indigenous people that was here. This was my teacher told me in like middle school.
right.
And I didn't think about that to know what they was talking about, but then to know that okay, well later on they brung in 92,000 African slaves. Now it makes sense. You know what I mean? And now you can say yes, that African blood was brung here. We know that Africans was brought here. Now, were they? What's his name? Mesa Musa was. Is that story true? Was people from Africa voyaged over here before Columbus got here, and that's how black people were here? I don't know because we you got them the Lucian skull or whatever her name is. Like
Hmm.
for me, like we don't know. I wish I had a time machine. You know what I'm saying? I wish
No,
I
you
had a
don't.
machine. I would go back. I would try not to disturb nothing, but I would go back.
You always disturb something. You might just kick a rock over. You know what I mean? Seriously, like, it's bound to happen.
But I'm more of on the lines of predestination time travel. So whatever I did was supposed to happen to cause whatever happened to happen today. You know what I'm saying? So, hey,
I wonder if I never dealt with people who was not good for me. Oh, I'm getting off topic. My bad, bro. Let me not do that. Pro- Astral project. We'll talk about that outside of the show.
hey,
But nah.
we can use that on another show. We can get into that.
But
'Cause I
what?
think that's part
What?
of like spirit walking, dream walking, and
Right.
seeing.
And then another thing, with Native people say, what if the white man never came? Would we even? What we? Where would we be? What? Who would be the dominant nation? Would it be the Iroquois or the Haudenosaunee, or would it be the Mexica, the Mexica Nahuatl people, or would it be somebody else, or would they be all gone? Would it be something different?
It would probably be
Oh,
what you see today, but it would be called Black America. That's what you would see. Because you know what? Where did all the great inventions come from? Who made
us.
it? Okay. Black Americans made all the modern inventions. It's stuff that I just found out that I was just watching. I'm like, dang, I didn't even know that, man. Like more and more inventions are coming out or patents that were supposed to be ours. You know, sometimes people get killed and their patents taken, or you was a slave, so I'm gonna go ahead and take this cotton gin from you. You know what I mean? Or
Mm.
the only thing they was teaching us as kid is, yeah, somebody made peanut butter. You know what I'm saying? What's his name? George Washington Carver.
Washington Carver. I played that Negro several times.
That was the only thing I was taught about black inventions. Yeah, y'all got credits for peanuts and peanut butter. Not knowing that he also uh helped create the plant idea for what's his name? The Ford guy?
Henry
Ford.
Ford. Henry Ford didn't do nothing but just put his name on it. He didn't even.
Yeah.
Same thing with Thomas Edison. All of them, white people just stole it and put their name on it, didn't put the work in at all. They just
Yeah.
put their name on it, stole it, and kept it moving. But the black guy made the truck or the bus. He was the one that invented the bus. Ain't that crazy?
It's all kind of things out here, man, that we don't know about. But we're gonna have to wrap it up, bro. It's getting I think I only got 2 hours on here, man, and it's a 1 hour and 50 minutes. So it'd have been cool if I could have like recorded it on StreamYard and cut out the technical difficulties. But it cost
Also, we're not recording.
I don't know. Once we get off of there, we'll see if it shows up on YouTube. But it's not recording on StreamYard, meaning I can't edit it. You know, so however it is, all the fallouts and the technical difficulties, like I think it really got good in the last hour, man. You know what I mean? And
Right, we
that's the
started
part.
building
Yeah,
on just simple things and telling our family oral history. Like a lot of Native people have always had oral history, and I would tell every Native person out there to start going asking where you come from.
yeah. So hopefully next time we go live, you know, if you free, you know what I mean, I'll be able to let me see. I thought somebody had made a comment. If you free, you know what I mean, or get some more people on here and just shoot straight, you know what I mean? But we can't use that word you said, COVID. We can't use COVID. I'm understanding because they will shadow ban this live and or it won't get monetized or something. I don't know. I'm new to all the rules and stuff, so but we're gonna work on getting your gear together and all of that shit too. So we're gonna be up on it. I don't know if you here. Look like you fell off, man. So I'm gonna go ahead and end this live. It was a test live. It was a cool conversation between me and my long friend Black Bear. Um, just look forward to more streams in the future because they are coming. and hopefully I can get with some people that we can really build and learn from each other going forward. But I'm gonna go ahead and end this stream here. Everybody have a good night. Let me bring you back up so you can say your salutations, man.
Okay, adios and osta ansanai. Good night. Let me